That end scene was fucking sick. The cutscene at the end when Spider-Man comes in. Which one was that after? What movie was that after? When he comes in and grabs the shield.
That wasn't an end scene.
No, that was in a trailer for Civil War.
Yeah, that was a commercial.
That wasn't an end scene?
No.
Why do I feel like I seen people in like crowds like freaking out when it happened?
I
really think it was a cutscene at the end.
It was definitely a trailer. I remember before Civil War.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Because we were expecting Spider-Man in Civil War.
I remember
that's
watching
why I freaked out. I think we talked about it.
Yeah, right.
I need a horse.
We don't have horses, just dogs, cats, birds.
And give me one of those large enough to ride.
Hoping that we have the sound check here. Check.
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 All over myself.
Wait, you do another check. That was a low check.
Yo, check.
Okay, and we're good to go with I am Bo Oliver, joined today by Marissa and Teddy, and we are back to continue our Marvel Cinematic Universe Revisited series with Thor.
Yay!
The Norse god.
It wasn't that bad. I could have sworn this wasn't as good as it was, but I actually did like it.
Well, you've had a very complex relationship with Thor.
Yeah, up and down.
Because when you saw it, you weren't a huge movie buff, so you loved it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we talked about last podcast.
This movie blew you away.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your tweet in 2011. Yo, Thor was sick. I wish we could bring that tweet up.
I was like, why do you guys hate on this movie? It had everything you want. Comedy, action, love.
It does have comedy, action, and love. I don't think any of them are particularly good.
No.
They're all there. All the elements are there.
Seeing this movie after watching Ragnarok, I don't know if I thought this movie was funnier because I was like, Chris Hemsworth can be funny. And like in my head, that was just like there.
Well, you can see in this movie how he's trying to like get his footing on Thor. Because his comedy is there. He does have comedy.
Yeah, you see like the potential. It's like, this is what he will become.
Just knowing what he is, man, the progression with him is fucking insane.
He's not a great actor in this. Chris Hemsworth has gotten better over the years.
He's just surrounded by people who are acting better than him.
Right. He's got Anthony Hopkins as Odin, who's acting his ass off.
Tom Hiddleston. That scene between Odin and Loki, the one he's crying, finding out that he's a frost giant, that's such a great scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's still good.
It's the best scene of the movie. That's really the only interesting dynamic, I think, in the film is Loki and Odin. Odin's decision to take on this frost giant baby to try and forge an alliance later on. Yeah, and it's, it's Loki feels like he has been passed over. He's always been compared to Thor unfavorably. So Loki's motivations are way more interesting in this movie than Thor's. And that's been the case for a lot of the appearances of these two characters. We're more interested in Loki.
Loki himself is an interesting character, the god of mischief. He plays this character so low-key, too. Like, he's not.
Oh,
wow! I did not mean that.
Wow, okay. I see you're in the zone today. Continue.
Wow. It's not apparent that he wants the throne. Like he's not trying to do like world domination. He just wants to be king.
Right.
No,
yeah,
he
it's
says
personal.
at one point that he didn't actually want the throne. It was just he's always been passed over, and he's genuinely like the one who's better suited for it, as opposed to Thor.
Right.
And I think he has a genuine reason to be concerned by Thor's actions in the beginning. The guy tried to start.
Seriously.
I mean, he's the one who let the frost giants in, so he's perfectly manipulating his emotional older brother. Like I said about Gollum in Lord of the Rings, Loki's on his Palpatine. That's what it's called. He was Palpatine in here in the beginning. Coronation scene looks good. I think the visuals hold up still. A lot of CGI, but I think it still looks good. The red cape. I love that red cape.
That one scene when it was like their time to shine with the CGI when they're going over the Rainbow Bridge, Asgard looked great, and the visuals were fucking on point.
Right, and I think a lot of the complaints about this movie with Asgard is that it doesn't feel like a place you could visit. It doesn't feel like a real world.
I feel like that's an issue throughout all the movies, really. Yeah. Even in Ragnarok, it's like they destroy Asgard, but like, do we care about Asgard? Not really. And then they go, the whole Asgard is a people.
It's you made this point last night that it's taking itself so seriously.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that's
difficult.
It's a Kenneth Branagh vibe for me.
Kenneth
the whole
Branagh.
Shakespearean thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the Dutch angles. I just wanted to tilt the TV.
Yo, I was like, why is everything sideways?
Yeah.
And it was like very noticeable. I feel like in general, I've never noticed in a movie when the angles are always like that. This was the first time that I'm like they're doing this on purpose and constantly.
I guess he's trying to portray a sense of scale, but you don't need it that much. It starts to become noticeable.
Yeah, it was like taking me out. I was like, oh, it's another sideways shot.
Number one rule of directing is never take your audience out of a movie by over-directing. And I think that's an example of that.
All the Shakespeare, like I've watched a lot of his Shakespeare stuff, and it's all great.
you would think that it would translate, because you even have that joke in the first Avengers when Iron Man and Thor are fighting, and he says, "What's this, Shakespeare in the park?" Because that's what it feels like, people playing dress up and reciting Shakespearean dialogue.
That vibe, it seems like it would make sense if that's the scale you're going for a Thor movie. And it seems like the movie kind of bounces between that vision and also the classic like Marvel humor that they were trying to go for in the early phases, that now they have that sense of humor down pat now.
Right.
For better or worse.
Yeah, it seemed like it was more forced in the beginning, and now they're easing into it and not doing it as much.
They have their formula. And I think there are moments, I think a lot of the comedy comes from Kat Dennings as Darcy.
She wasn't I remember thinking she was funnier the first time I watched the movie. I didn't really care that much this
I
time.
laughed when she tried to bow to him. The fish out of water aspect, it works well. I mean, we've seen it before with Wonder Woman. I thought it was funnier. That's the thing. There are moments that are trying to be comedic. My favorite scene of the movie is when he's trying to buy a horse. He walks into the pet store as a horse.
Yeah, when he slams that coffee down. But that's also he did a good job. Where I wonder if anyone else did that, if it wouldn't have been as funny. Because it kind of just felt like it was planted in there to be funny. But he made that funny too, though.
It feels like with the casting of Chris Hemsworth, the CGI, the costume design, the production design, it feels like everything is there, but the actual script and the plot and the narrative, it just didn't move me. Like when they travel to Jotunheim, it's just a dark, cold place.
Yeah, Jotunheim.
With evil monsters.
I was like, oh, this is another set.
Yeah, it's just another set.
The town also feels like a set.
Right, yeah, it does. It looks like an old Hollywood set.
Yeah.
Well, the makeup was good, though, with the Frost Giants. They looked good.
They looked like White Walkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did look like White Walkers.
I was like, oh, the Night King?
What came out?
Marvel Phase 1?
Yeah, how long ago did Game of Thrones come out?
Same year.
I wonder if they ripped off of them.
Oh, George R. R. Martin, of course.
They had to, right?
He loves Jack Kirby.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the Frost Giants go back to the comics, right? Loki is a Frost Giant.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Well, Bo, you made this point earlier,
Laffy
too, though.
Taffy is the leader of the Frost Giants. Great voice.
And why have you come here? To make peace. You long for battle. You crave it. You're nothing but a boy, trying to prove himself a man.
It's amazing how I forgot they say Loki Laufey-san so many times in the other movies, but I forgot that dude's name was Laufey.
I thought Laufey was like their king name. It was like us calling someone king.
I love when he calls himself Odin's son.
Yeah.
In Infinity War.
Odin's son.
Thor's like, of course, right before you die, you say the nicest thing in your entire life.
But, Bo, you made this point earlier that this movie didn't push anything forward either, though. This was just their way of entering the cosmic realm, I guess, and introducing Thor into this movie, into this universe.
Right, in Phase 1, it's kind of battling between making an interesting story that doesn't connect to the larger universe, or movies that are just there to move the universe forward. This is a universe moving forward.
They didn't really have the clout yet. It's not like they knew Avengers was actually going to be a thing, or that it would hit nearly as hard as it did.
Thor's a tough character to do.
He's Superman. It's always hard when you have a Superman character.
Because you got to try and make him realistic, too. I mean, they did a good job making him realistic, too. You kind of felt bad for him towards the end before he got his powers back.
Honestly, in the beginning of the movie, I thought he was unlikable. I was like, he's
really?
annoying.
Definitely unlikable.
I was like, come on, man.
It made me feel like
genocide?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious you don't do this.
I don't want to steal your point about the lessons he learned, so if you want to make it.
I mean, I know his original origin story is obviously he gets sent to Earth as a human to learn humility, selflessness, stuff like that. But in the movie, it's like he tries to commit genocide, right? Essentially, like he may not think of it as that, but he's like, I'm going to go kill the Frost Giants because they tried to ruin my coronation, or like they did ruin his coronation. As a result, nearly kills himself and all of his friends and his squad, which we never really see again after this movie.
I refuse to learn their names. I will not learn
I only
their names.
remember
Seriously.
Lady Sif.
Lady Sif, yeah.
Only remember
her. I'll remember.
And Peter Pan, I call him.
That is like the Peter Pan crew.
And then Odin is like, you're too selfish. I'm going to send you to Earth to learn your lesson. But like, what lesson does he want him to learn? His issue is that he tried to take on the Frost Giants without properly thinking it through when it was clearly a diplomacy issue, not so much an issue of selfishness.
There is no lesson to be learned here.
And so him on Earth being sacrificing himself and like displaying that he's worthy of the hammer. I understand that's his original origin story, but with the context they put it in the movie, it's like,
I'm not sure if that's the issue.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't fit. Yeah.
Right.
He didn't do what he had to do to get the hammer
like,
back.
was he selfish? Yes, he didn't necessarily think it through. But like, the issue is bigger than just him being selfish.
Yeah, he's a warmonger.
It's almost just like
he's a neocon, and his dad's saying,
It's like
hey,
maybe
buddy.
his dad should like let him sit in some war meetings if he wanted to fix this problem.
Send him to West Point.
the Frost King literally told him what happened. There's a traitor in your group.
There's a traitor in the House of Odin. I'll let you go because this war is going to be extremely deadly.
Yeah.
He gives him so many chances, and when the Frost Giant calls him Little Princess.
Run back home, little princess.
Dad.
Essentially, the lesson that he had to learn was, if I fall in love with the very beautiful Natalie Portman and sacrifice my life, I
As
will
we
once
all
again be worthy.
No, she
But
wasn't
the
bad.
easiest lesson to learn, sacrificing yourself for Natalie Portman.
She wasn't bad though. I actually did like her.
You know what?
The chemistry between them two were pretty good.
People give a lot of crap to Jane Foster in these movies. I think this is probably her best performance. And I think the chemistry's fine. Chris Hemsworth, I'll say it again, he's just not very good in this. He's not really given any of these actors
Honestly,
much to work with.
through all the movies, he gets so much better. It's actually kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like if you were to watch Thor and then Ragnarok back to back, it's like a world of difference.
Everyone's progression goes up between his acting and his story arc. Everything goes great.
He really unlocked this hidden talent of being a great comedic actor.
Yeah. Right.
And that's really translated also to the dramatic moments. So Hopkins has complained about obviously not being on set, not using practical sets and locations, and complaining about Chris Hemsworth's acting. He's like, I can't act with this this lifeless model, just Chris Hemsworth.
He almost didn't get the part too. You know, Daniel Craig almost got the part, but he turned it down.
Oh God, thank goodness.
Wait, for Odin or Thor?
Thor.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig?
If Daniel Craig would have said yeah,
Is Daniel
he
Craig
would have got
gonna
the point.
get
part.
ripped?
He said no because he was doing James Bond.
Well,
That's a completely different vibe.
You got to be like 6'5" to play Thor. If
gotta
Daniel
be Chris
Craig
Hemsworth.
he looks so perfect
Yeah.
as. That's the thing. It's a picture perfect casting. They even have those casting tapes of Loki. Have you guys seen those?
No.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston trying out for Thor. They gave him the blonde wig.
Liam Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, who all auditioned, they all didn't get it. Then they went to Daniel Craig and he said no. And then Hemsworth went back for a second audition and he got it.
Wait, Chris Hemsworth's brother also
Yeah.
auditioned? I could have seen that.
I mean, he got Hunger Games. He's in a franchise.
I wonder which one he'd take now.
I mean, Hunger Games was hot for like a second.
It was hot for a couple years.
And then,
know what's-
Mockingjay is just too depressing.
Yeah, you know what's sad right now is that the God of Thunder and a Marvel movie, a superhero, and we're barely talking about fighting because there really wasn't much fighting in this movie.
I thought the choreography for the Frost Giant fight in the beginning was
That was the
fine.
best one.
Yeah, the Asgardian guardian of their temple of riches.
Yeah.
He's intimidating.
It was just a lot of kicking and explosions, pretty much.
Yeah, there's no really great memorable action scene. And just going to your point, too, about lessons learned from this movie, it's just like The Incredible Hulk, where the whole movie, they're talking about how he can't control this, he can't control this, he can't control this, and at the end, he can.
Yeah.
And we didn't see anything that indicates he can control it, but he can. It's the same thing with Thor. We haven't seen anything that indicates, besides him just saying, I've changed. Because Loki confronts him at the end and says, you're a genocidal maniac. He's like, well, I'm different now.
I figured it out.
Thor, like early Thor and Hela, would have been great friends.
Oh, they
gotten
would've-
along swimmingly.
Why
they had
would
the
he
same
keep
goals.
that from her, you know?
I wonder if Odin was like, I can't do this again.
That's probably what it was, dude. Seriously.
He was like, I gotta nip this in the bud right away.
His blood was boiling, too. He's like, damn, I'm getting bloodthirsty again.
He's like, I'm about to take a real long nap. I mean, I've said before, the Loki and Odin scene when they're fighting, great scene because they're both like top-notch actors and they're really like going for it. But Odin just falling asleep instead of finishing the argument, mood. What a vibe.
I'm going to start doing that. Whenever Aaron starts arguing with me on the pod, I'm just going to the Larry David when he sees Muggsy Bogues in the bathroom.
When he sees Muggsy Bogues in the bathroom.
It was funny seeing Hawkeye in this. He's just there being an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No idea he was in this movie. Completely forgot.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw him and I was like, Hawkeye?
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised that they didn't let him throw hands with Thor. I'm sure for the
He's
hard
not tossing hands.
Well, at that point, Thor is not powered up.
Honestly, at that point,
Yeah,
it
he's still
was
yoked
probably
up,
just
though.
an Easter
Yeah,
egg.
yeah,
It
that
was
is
like,
true.
oh, look, this is Hawkeye. This movie came out in 2011. Avengers is 2012. So they were probably filming already by the time this movie came out.
Right.
But still.
Did comic book buffs know that's Hawkeye?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah,
they had to
Yeah,
have.
right?
What did you guys think about Stellan Skarsgård as Selvig? I've always liked Selvig.
He's a Skarsgård?
Yeah, he's the Skarsgård. He's their dad.
I only know the guy who played It.
You got Stellan, right? Who's the It Skarsgård?
Bill
Skarsgård, right? You have Tarzan Skarsgård.
That's a Skarsgård too?
Yeah, that's a Skarsgård.
I knew they were like an acting family, but I really only knew about Bill Skarsgård.
There's a Westworld Skarsgård.
Really?
Yeah,
oh my
Westworld
God, they're
season 2,
everywhere.
that security guy who was kind of bald.
Wow, there is. I'm looking at him right now.
Alexander Skarsgård is Tarzan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a bajillion of them.
Hell of a family.
There's more too. Gustav,
That's the Watt
Walter,
family.
Sam.
That's the Watt family in the NFL.
Well, a lot of people complain that the magic and the science being one and the same, they want magic to be separate. They want magic to be something supernatural. I've never really minded that explanation when he's sitting down, Jane, and saying, to you it's magic, to us it's science. I always thought that was kind of cool. You need some sort of rules to establish in your world.
Magic is just a version of science you don't understand yet. Pretty common idea. So like,
I think I'm more frustrated by the fact that Norse mythology is so rich and complex and detailed and has great characters, and it's just not suited for a PG-13 rating. It's not suited for Marvel, unless you're going to go completely...
you can't go rated R, though.
Like, if there were more consequences to the actions of Thor invading Jotunheim, if his friends were being picked off, those fight scenes are pretty brutal, but no one's going to die.
Oh, you're saying that, because I was just about to say to you,
mythology is about betrayal and death and family and incest at times. But
that's funny. That's really funny you say that, because I literally said, "Is anyone gonna die?" And then then Peter Pan gets hit in the chest, and I'm like, "Oh, let's go." At least someone goes down.
And then he didn't die.
Yeah.
It looked like he got impaled.
Yeah,
like he did, but like I thought he was done for.
Well, I mean, like that thing was like
it looked like
it
went through his heart. Like he was sliding on it.
That's the thing. You can't kill off your characters like that because it's Marvel. It is PG-13. I just think it works in other movies where you know that no one's going to die because it's a bit more grounded. But this is just so fantastical and so epic.
Yeah.
But there are no consequences for any of the actions. I mean, I guess Loki, but he does come back. He doesn't die.
Loki is always coming back.
Yeah.
That man plays both sides, all universe, all series.
And another common complaint of the MCU as a whole is Idris Elba as Heimdall. And that was actually, Kenneth Branagh apparently called him up and said, hey, I want you to play this character. I know it's not a big role and, you know, it may...
What was Idris Elba doing in 2011?
That's a perfect role. I would love that role.
I mean, he was like Idris Elba then, right?
Obviously, from The Wire, people knew who he was. But I feel like he is a bigger star now. I also think there was a way that they could have just used that character more effectively.
Yeah, it's like Heimdall has always been just kind of there. He's like the dude who opens the gate. And
just
in Ragnarok, he's like a fugitive, and then he gets clapped in Infinity War. So
he's just always there to be there.
Yeah, Idris Elba he was in Luther for one season before Thor and The Wire. Everything happened after Thor.
Yeah, I think fans are just kind of frustrated because you see this guy's star rising, and it's just give him a better role.
Right.
Because he would have been a terrific Blade.
Yeah.
Or Jon Stewart.
Oh, that would have been really good.
Idris Elba as Jon Stewart is one of those castings that's too perfect to ever come
to not do.
No, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, aren't they bringing back Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern?
Oh, boy. Yeah, I think so. Phil Coulson continues to be the funniest part of the entire universe. Every time the guy speaks...
I still thought Thor saying, son of Cole was good.
That was good.
I don't think you've been completely honest with me.
Know this, son of Cole. You and I, we fight for the same cause, the protection of this world. From this day forward, you can count me as your ally. If you return the items you have taken from Jane.
Stolen.
Borrowed.
That was like, I actually laughed watching that.
He is such a SHIELD agent, just loyal to the badge through and through.
It's also funny. There's that dude. I forget if we know his name or if he has a name, but if he does, I don't remember it. Who in Civil War you see that not Civil War in Winter Soldier. He's one of the dudes who's actually a Hydra agent within SHIELD.
Oh, Sitwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sitwell is the one who's kind of operating the...
Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing that now, knowing what happens with that.
Yeah,
and just
definitely.
seeing SHIELD operate, knowing that eventually it gets all torn down and that they just suck. It's interesting because it's not something that I thought about for the first time watching these movies. And then obviously everyone knows Winter Soldier is like one of the better movies in the whole Marvel, I guess, canon.
And I don't think Winter Soldier feels like a retcon, because people have made that complaint that it comes out of nowhere, that Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. But I think S.H.I.E.L.D. is, when you look at these organizations, intelligence organizations in the real world, they're shady. So it's not necessarily, people complain about S.H.I.E.L.D. all the time, even the good guys in S.H.I.E.L.D. that do kind of shady things. So I think that reveal, it is cool to see kind of the infiltration happening in real time. So S.H.I.E.L.D. is interesting here. They're cool. It's funny to see Stan Lee trying to pull the hammer out with his truck.
Did it work?
Great Stan Lee cameo.
What was this? What was the end scene for this one? I forget.
Oh, it's Selvig. Fury meets Selvig and shows him the Tesseract, and he's like, "Do you want to start doing some tests with this?" It's like it could be unlimited power, and you see Loki in like a reflection. It's implied that he's controlling Selvig at that point. Loki,
yeah, that's where Selvig starts out.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure I never saw the cutscene after watching. I mean, I saw Avengers before I saw Thor, so like when that happened in Avengers, I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, I vaguely remember that cutscene. Now that we're talking about it, it's starting to come back to me. But I don't stick around. I forget with the earlier movies that they have cutscenes.
Dude, you know what's crazy if you think about it? Thanos is looking for the Tesseract right now.
That's my favorite when I go back and watch these older movies. Thanos is just out there doing Thanos stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
He exists.
Yeah.
He's just waiting.
And no one knows what's going to happen.
I also like the theory that Thanos waited to attack when all the big dogs died. Doctor Strange's mentor, I can't remember her name. Odin dying at the end of in the beginning of Ragnarok.
Oh, wow.
That was another argument. He was like, "Peace. Gotta go. Time to evaporate into mist."
He was like, "Oh, falling asleep isn't enough."
He's like, "I'm choosing to discorporate myself."
It's like he died of heartbreak.
I hate when people die of heartbreak. Like Padme. Fuck up.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's one dude who didn't love Natalie Portman enough. He was like, "I'm gonna kill her instead of dying to save her."
You know what? This movie, a lot of it reminded me of Man of Steel, and I think both movies have a lot of similar problems. This one is a bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, I was gonna say Man of Steel was overall much more serious.
Yes.
I think Thor, it was like the serious and the lighthearted moments kind of bounced around a lot, so the tone was kind of inconsistent.
I think for what it is, it's the first movie, the first Thor, Chris Hemsworth's breakout role. I think for what it is, they did a good job. I don't think the score it got, what was it, 7.7 on Rotten Tomatoes? I think that's fitting.
I agree with you in that I like the movie. I enjoy it. I can sit down, watch it. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't think it's the worst movie in the MCU. It may be the worst Phase 1 movie, this or Incredible Hulk. I just wish this was more Crocodile Dundee, where I wish the tones had a seismic shift in the middle of the movie, where everything is high fantasy, super serious, super Shakespearean. He gets to Earth, everything changes. Maybe the humor could be a bit more sillier than it actually was.
I did think it was funny, though, when his squad came to Earth and they're just, like, walking down the road and all their stuff. I thought that was funny.
See, that's what I wanted more of. That, to me, it's ridiculous. You see all these people in this getup walking.
And then, like, in comparison to that, the scene where he tries to lift the hammer and realizes he can't lift it, and he's, like, having an actual breakdown, I feel, for me, it didn't hit.
Nothing hits in this movie.
I thought, I was like, I'm not as devastated by this as I should be. In other movies, him doing a similar type of thing hits more. And this one, it's like I knew he's obviously upset. He's not worthy of the hammer. But I was like, oh, is he like actually crying right now?
When he calls for the hammer in Endgame after talking to his mother.
Yeah.
Right there.
That was more triumphant than him getting the hammer in this movie.
Yeah, I think this movie, like a Man of Steel or even like a Batman v Superman, it does have the big moments problem, where they have all these epic moments, but nothing was developed in between them, so you get really nothing out of them.
Well,
and that's a shame.
Well, what happened was this movie got derailed 20 minutes in, though, because you had that huge epic fight in the beginning, and then he just gets sent back to Earth, and then the movie just pretty much stalls from there.
He should have started on Earth, or should have started with the banishment. I don't know.
Well, I'm just happy with what Thor is now.
Me too.
Yeah, it's like seeing the growth is really good. Like I genuinely love Thor, and that's not a character I thought I would be loving when I first saw this movie.
He's become a lot of people's fan favorites. He was great in Infinity War.
The original himbo. Do you know? Never mind.
Wait, the original what?
Himbo. He's very popular on Tumblr.
Isn't there a movie where it's like some girl gets like shit on, and then she goes to like a fashion lady and she like makes her perfect, and then she goes back and like shits on people?
I'm sure there's
That's
gotta be.
A lot of movies.
Yeah. Well, it's basically like VH1's Made, and they picked Thor, and Taika was the host.
My name is Taika Waititi. Director, actor. Welcome to Thor Ragnarok.
Like, we're gonna make you
Seriously.
funny.
Stan Lee gave him the shape up. That's all he needed.
Now don't you move. My hands aren't as steady as they used to be.
Oh, guess the video's over. Ended pretty abruptly. Hey guys, Bo Oliver here for one final send-off, and before we go, we would like to thank our very special Patreon members, pledgers, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. You keep the lights on here at the studio, so it's really our pleasure to review all these movies, TV shows, video games that we all know and love. And we actually have a couple of shows that have been suggested by Patreon members that we will be reviewing in the next couple of weeks. And if you're a fan of anime, get excited because we have Neon Genesis, My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, not technically an anime, but also Castlevania. And of course, if you want to visit our Patreon page and pledge, see the different rewards that we have, maybe you can suggest a show, a movie, a video game. Or maybe you don't want to do any of that. Honestly, watching up until this point of the video is good enough for me. So, thank you out there, and stay safe.